Hey, what's up, viewers? Patrick from Ball vs. Only back in the YouTube video. In this episode, number 2 of Government Week on Ball Verses of the Day. And today's verse comes out of Romans 13, verse 1. It reads, "Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God." And that's what that verse means. And let's get into it. It's time for our church recap. And we're going to start today in Luke 15. And this is where Rob's sermon starts. Luke 15, starting in verse 1. It says, "Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathered around to hear Jesus." But the main parable was the parable of the lost son. This is verses 11 through 32. And here's what it says. Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am, starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But he was still a long way off. His father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against you, against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. 'Your brother has come,' he replied, 'and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound.' The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, 'Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders, yet you never gave me a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him.' 'My son,' the father said, 'you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we have to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.'" And that's all for the verse portion of that sermon. And the notes, verse 20 through 30, this looks like favoritism. And the note is, "You need to understand who your father is." And now we're going to get to the sermon that Glenn, well, not, he didn't really preach. He preached it Saturday morning, but I listened to it yesterday. And Matthew 5, now this wasn't mentioned, but I heard him mention it in the radio program. Matthew 5, verses 14 through 15 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house." And that's all for the verse portion of that sermon. And the notes are Jesus is truth and Jesus is the light. So the light is truth. Jesus spoke nothing but the truth. He spoke the truth out of love. We are to speak the truth. And the verse to leave you with today is Song 107:1, which says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever." And that's going to do for the video. Thanks for watching. And until next time, me again, viewers, in every way, God's way is always the best way.